If you've missed our previous coverage, there's a contaminated aquifer beneath a huge section of land near the Columbia River called the Lower Umatilla Basin. The area is 562 square miles, covering northern Umatilla and Morrow counties, about 2.5 hours east of Portland. For at least 30 years, the groundwater there has been polluted with nitrates, a chemical that can cause reproductive issues, respiratory problems, and cancer. And many in those communities get their water from private wells that draw directly from that aquifer. On Wednesday, Governor Kotek and a high-level administrator from the EPA traveled to the city of Boardman to learn more about how the response is going and what else needs to be done. Environmental reporter Cale Williams has this story.
Since at least the mid-90s, it's been clear that nitrates were a problem in the groundwater of Morrow and Umatilla counties. Levels of the toxic chemical have been climbing ever since, despite action plans from committees and outcry from the community. Nitrates are the byproduct of fertilizer used in agriculture, food processing facilities, animal feedlots, and wastewater from the Port of Morrow. In 2022, a local state of emergency was declared. Bottled water was distributed, and testing began on the roughly 4,500 private wells in the area. On Wednesday, high-level officials from the state and federal government went to Boardman to hear how things were going.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Governor Kotek. Special guest here.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sixkiller. I'm the regional administrator for the EPA.
Kotek and Sixkiller hosted two roundtable discussions, one with community groups and another with county officials.
There are a couple different efforts going on.
Is this going to take some time?
At the start, Kotek reiterated that she was committed to solving the public health crisis facing the rural communities.
I was here literally a year ago, meeting with some of you, and really engaging. This is, as I came in as a new governor, heard about the challenges out here, and we showed up, we learned, we listened, and we've been getting to work.
But when the governor asked the community groups what issues they're still facing, not everyone felt like they were seeing that work translate on the ground.
People are frustrated, people are scared, and they have...
Zaida Sanchez is the director of community organizing with Oregon Rural Action. She said that fear stems from lack of information, with many people, especially in the Spanish-speaking community, unaware of the danger.
Unfortunately, over and over again, we continue to find people that are not aware of the resources that are available, that there is a public health risk currently that we should be aware of, that continue to drink the contaminated water, that have been cooking with the water.
The Oregon Health Authority has partnered with community groups like Oregon Rural Action to get the word out and implore residents to have their wells tested. But Kristen Anderson Ostrom, executive director of the organization, said that the initial messaging fell flat.
During the outreach, the significant state outreach, working with all of the partners, this is the primary message. This message does not necessarily warn the public that there's a health risk. The CDC's health warnings look like this. This creates more urgency, right?
For her part, Kotek acknowledged that there was more that could be done.
So we need to up our game to make sure people do get the information. So I hear what you're saying.
Big questions still remain, though, according to Marisa Mendoza from the advocacy group Uvalcre.
And so for now, we're putting a Band-Aid on the problem and providing them with water deliveries. But, of course, everyone wants to know what's next.
Kotek and Sixkiller laid out their plan. In the short term, they want to continue testing as many wells as possible and providing drinking water to the people who need it. But Ana Pinheiro, with Morrow County Public Health, pointed out that since the state's gotten involved, the pace of action has slowed. In the first 6 months after the emergency was declared, Pinheiro said her team of just 10 people tested more than 600 wells and installed 100 water treatment systems. In the year and a half since, some 1,800 wells have been tested, but only 76 water treatment systems have been installed.
What's going on? How is that with more time, more staff, more resources, we can accomplish less? And we need to make sure that we don't forget. We're doing this for the people, and we should do it with the people.
And it was that disconnect between the people on the ground and the people trying to provide solutions that stuck out most to Sanchez.
Right, thank you for coming back and for meeting with us again, right? But I want to highlight everyone who's in this room right now. The majority of folks in this room right now aren't from here, aren't directly impacted community members, aren't well owners.
Again, Kotek acknowledged there was room for improvement.
We have a year under our belt. We haven't completely, I think, established 100% trust, I think, with the state, but I think we're making progress. Now
Looking a little further out, in the medium term, Kotek and Sixkiller said it would be necessary to get some people connected to municipal water systems and off the well water they'd relied on for years. But that plan, it comes with its own challenges too.
To get folks extended into some communities for public water, it's not cheap. There'll be issues. There are going to be people who are like, I don't want to do that, or unless I get some financial assistance or whatever. That is real. And that is the midterm goal for some households.
In the second roundtable of the day with regional officials, those issues were put into stark relief. Morrow County Commissioner Roy Drago Jr. said it would be technically possible to extend public water to some of the affected residents, but that's just one of the hurdles.
The big hurdle is getting, a whole community to buy in, right? So those are some of the hurdles. I think we can navigate getting municipal water there. I think that's fairly doable. It's going to cost a lot of money.
As for the long-term plan, Kotek and Sixkiller hope to eventually see groundwater that is clean and drinkable. But that'll mean big changes for agriculture in the rural area, where it acts as one of the region's biggest economic drivers.
And when it comes to the root cause issue and the continued contamination, we just have to alter how we're doing business, right? We're having conversations with the port, with the users themselves coming off of ag. Look, this has been traditionally a byproduct of ag practices. What can we do differently? How can we change that?
Kotek said they're working with the port to secure loans to install a wastewater treatment system. And she said things would need to change on the agricultural side, too.
We do need to say, we're going to be doing this differently. We don't want 3 more decades of pollutants, right? That's got to change.
But she stopped short of calling for mandatory regulations to curtail the pollution. The biggest takeaway seemed to be that more transparency is necessary to establish trust with the community, even if that means admitting when you don't have all the answers.
There is value, I think, in going to the community and saying, we don't know what the answer is right now. We don't know how much it's going to cost. But we want you to know that there's going to be a process where this is the process we're going to follow.
And there remains a pretty big gap to bridge.
Of the folks who live here and the people that we work with on a daily basis, when we say we're coming to another meeting, they say, oh, another dog and pony show.
Thank you, everybody.
Only time will tell whether Wednesday's meetings were indeed just a show, or if real change is on the horizon.
Cale Williams joins me now. Cale, first I want to ask you, being there in person, you're able to kind of assess how people are doing and feeling. What did you get from Governor Kotek and the regional administrator of the EPA in this case?
Yeah, well, they did a lot more listening than they did talking, which I think is important. That's, they're out there to hear from the community about how these things are going. At the same time, these people have been listened to for a long time, and they would really like to see some stuff actually happen.
And you see that in the frustration from the community organizations when they're speaking up. What did you feel was their takeaway after the meeting when chatting with them? Yeah, so I talked to a couple of them in the hallway, and they told me that they were a little concerned that folks like us, the media, there was 3 of us there, a print, radio, newspaper from out in Eastern Oregon, that this was kind of a show, that they thought that maybe the governor and the EPA administrator were looking for a photo opportunity. I didn't really get that sense from either of them, but they were concerned about that. And again, they really just want to see action. So then, of course, that leads to the final, most obvious question. What are the tangible things that you're either looking for or that we should expect in the next couple of months to see progress here? Well, yeah, that's what everybody was pushing for. How are we going to measure success? Governor Kotek said that they are working on coming up with some benchmarks. They're hoping to release them within the next 60 days of ways that they'll be able to measure success over the next year. Okay, and I'm sure you'll be checking in within the next 60 days, if not shortly after, to see what those benchmarks are. Thank you, Cale. Appreciate it. Absolutely.